Reports suggest that 90 to 95% of short-term crypto traders lose. One final asset class usually reserved for the wealthy, historically, this asset class has outperformed public markets over long time horizons. This sector is predicted to grow into the trillions of dollars. Many investors fill their portfolios with low or mid-cap altcoins, for example, hoping for huge upside. But most lose value against Bitcoin over time, because it's not just about what you make, it's about what you can keep. So for those potentially chasing the next 100x meme coin, or trying to trade every candle on the 15-minute chart, there's a high probability that they ended the year down. However, if they'd simply ignored the noise and followed a more thought-through structured wealth strategy, they would have likely outperformed the vast majority of active crypto traders. Because while many altcoins bled out against Bitcoin in 2025, as they have pretty much since 2022, with this graph showing the total crypto market cap, excluding the top 10 cryptocurrencies, more traditional markets and assets were compounding wealth quietly in the background. In this video, we're going to talk about wealth preservation in 2026 and the kinds of strategies someone can adopt to preserve and build their wealth over the long term. We'll look at how to structure a portfolio to capture growth, minimize tax bills legally using efficient wrappers, and stop cash from losing value in a bank account. Just a quick reminder that nothing contained in this video is financial advice, and let's jump straight in. First, let's remind ourselves quickly of the fundamentals of investment strategy. You should only invest money that you can afford to lose, and money you don't need immediately for things like your bills. Investing is for the capital you'd otherwise use for discretionary spending, like eating out, going for a coffee, or buying extra things, not the money you need for your rent, mortgage, or utilities. Also, perhaps think about what your monthly expenses are and see if there's an opportunity for you to invest more in assets and not liabilities, which is obviously difficult for some people given the cost of living. But as an example, instead of getting a new expensive car, a luxury new appliance worth thousands, etc., that depreciate in value, is there an opportunity to use a bit of that money to invest in assets instead that will be worth a lot more in future? Because the main priorities for building wealth are investing in assets over the long term and making them work for you, educating yourself financially, and discipline. However, we do need to remember that long-term assets, given their long term, can be illiquid. So it's harder or not necessarily advisable to turn those assets into cash. So you might need other strategies to hedge against that illiquidity risk and ensure you're not forced to sell if the market's down. But it is important to note that everyone's investment journey is different, with different starting points in terms of funds, knowledge, and experience. So the investment strategy, risk tolerance, and time horizon will be different for different people. So it's obviously impossible to cover every single eventuality and every strategy in this video. But how do you structure a portfolio to survive volatility? There are many investment strategies out there, but let's just look at one in this video called the Barbell Strategy, which was popularized by the statistician Nassim Taleb. So if we imagine a barbell, on one side of it, you've got your safe and stable assets. These are your safer, low-risk investments, which would include things like government bonds or treasuries, as they provide a low, steady yield with minimal risk. In this example, we'll actually use global equities on this side of the barbell, like the S&P 500. While stocks definitely carry risk, they've historically provided a compounding return over the long term and are less volatile than crypto. In fact, in 2025, the S&P 500 returned over 18%. So this side of the barbell acts as your investment foundation. And on the other side of the barbell, you have your high conviction risk assets. This would include Bitcoin, the market leader, or other large market cap cryptocurrencies with strong demand and fundamentals that you have high conviction in. This side of the barbell is where you adopt higher risk, but with much higher potential returns. So it's obviously a diversified portfolio. With the barbell strategy though, you actually avoid the middle ground. So these are the mediocre assets that have very high risk, but lack the high conviction upside of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. Many investors fill their portfolios with low or mid-cap altcoins, for example, hoping for huge upside. But most lose value against Bitcoin over time. So they take on the high volatility and risk of crypto, but they don't hold the highest quality assets. By cutting out this middle ground and focusing on stability on one side and high conviction on the other, the idea is that you reduce your exposure to unnecessary risk while increasing your wealth as much as possible. Of course, investors could allocate a small percentage, let's say 1 to 5%, to more high-risk speculative plays and might get lucky, but that's often not a strategy that works. The aim of the barbell investment strategy is that you don't need to gamble your life savings on risky tokens if your safe side is compounding and your risk side is high quality. And everyone can create their own barbell investment strategy, adding different investments with different levels of risk in. Just a reminder that I do offer one-to-one coaching to those who are genuinely looking to educate themselves in the crypto space, with there being links in the description to contact me and booking a free video call to see if we'd be a good fit. The second part of this investment strategy is managing cash, because many people leave this sitting in a standard current account earning nothing, which is a guaranteed way to lose wealth, because inflation constantly decreases its purchasing power. So if you had 10,000 in cash just sitting there, for example, earning no interest, and inflation was 3%, let's say, you'd effectively lose £300 or dollars, whatever, of purchasing power in 1 year. It doesn't disappear from your account, but you can buy less with it. If that continues over a decade or two, a significant portion of this wealth would disappear. And most people have seen this chart showing the decline of purchasing power of the US dollar over time, where $1 would have bought you 30 chocolate bars in 1913 and 10 bottles of beer in 1933. But the aim is to ensure cash is working for you, whether that's in high yield savings accounts, in money market funds that track interest rates, or gaining yield on stable coins using DeFi. The goal is to outpace inflation by as much as possible. Cash, especially a larger amount, is a position in a portfolio, and right now it's a position that loses value unless it's actively managed. We also have to talk about tax, because it's not just about what you make, it's about what you can keep. So if you're in the UK, for example, you should use your £20,000 stocks and shares ISA annual allowance that can grow tax-free. So no capital gains tax, dividend tax, and no reporting to HMRC. The downside to these ISAs are the investment limits placed upon them. So if you hold a larger amount of capital, it might be worth speaking with an expert in terms of wealth management, offshoring, etc. You can also look at SIPPs to decide your own investments and create your own pension, which has tax benefits to it. And if you're in the US, you could take advantage of Roth IRA contributions, which is basically investing money you've already been taxed on that grows tax-free, and then these earnings become tax-free in retirement. As with ISAs, there are limits to check out though. While you can't put crypto directly into some of these accounts, you can use proxy assets. For example, buying shares in Bitcoin treasury companies, in public exchanges like Coinbase, or exploring crypto ETNs or ETFs where possible. This allows you to get exposure to the crypto market's performance inside a tax-efficient wrapper and avoiding potential capital gains tax. So by filling your tax-free buckets first, you legally protect your future gains. And for those with a high net worth, there's another layer of wealth preservation to consider: trusts. These are much more complex and expensive to set up and maintain, so it usually only makes financial sense if you have a substantial portfolio to protect. But for those who do, trusts can be a powerful tool for two main reasons: control and legacy. A trust allows you to legally separate the assets from yourself, potentially protecting them from things like divorce or bankruptcy in the future. It also gives you control over how your wealth is distributed to your children or beneficiaries, rather than giving them a lump sum that they might not be ready for. From a tax perspective, they can be highly efficient if they're structured correctly. They're often used to mitigate inheritance tax, helping you pass wealth down to the next generation without a large tax hit. They're also important for estate tax planning, especially in the US. But because this is a complex legal area, you should seek expert advice from a qualified professional if it's something you'd want to look into. If you're looking for more personalized support with your crypto taxes, Miner is one of the leading UK crypto accountancy firms around that provides expert crypto tax advice, as well as other services such as wealth management, restructuring, and offshoring. And you'll find a link to contact them directly in the description of this video if you'd like tailored support with your taxes. And for our US viewers, there's a link in the description to contact Crypto Tax Audit, a leading crypto tax company in the United States. So if you need help with your crypto tax planning, definitely check them out. The final part of this strategy is thematic exposure, which includes the rise of real-world assets, because we're seeing a major shift where traditional financial assets, like government bonds and private credit, are moving onto the blockchain. This sector is predicted to grow into the trillions of dollars, and investors could get exposure to this narrative through protocols that are building the infrastructure for tokenization, like Ondo Finance, Chainlink, etc. But this obviously isn't financial advice. Similarly, we can't mention narratives without mentioning AI, with a huge amount of capital being invested into it. So someone could invest in ETFs that hold hardware giants like Nvidia and TSMC, or software giants like Microsoft and Google or Alphabet, to gain exposure to AI, with large LLM companies like Anthropic, OpenAI and xAI possibly looking at IPOs in 2026 or 2027. Or an investor might prefer broader tech ETFs like the Invesco QQQ or iShares US Tech, which try to capture the whole sector rather than picking a single winner. As mentioned earlier, however, just remember that even these large companies carry risk, with equities dropping if the broader financial market fails. But this could fit into the equity side of your barbell, allowing you to capture the upside of these technological revolutions. And linked with that, one final asset class usually reserved for the wealthy is private equity. While the S&P 500 tracks the biggest public companies, private equity invests in the thousands of successful private businesses that you can't buy on the stock market. Historically, this asset class has outperformed public markets over long time horizons. Previously, you needed millions to access this, but in 2026, the landscape has changed. Giants like BlackRock and Vanguard have partnered with private equity leaders to offer new hybrid funds, potentially opening the door to investors who don't have these millions. And there are two main ways to access this. First, through listed private equity stocks, where you can buy shares in firms like Blackstone, KKR, etc. on the stock market, or through new semi-liquid or evergreen funds. These allow you to invest with significantly lower minimums, often starting at about 25k, without the traditional 10-year lockup period. However, these funds are likely to have liquidity gates, limiting your withdrawals to a small percentage per quarter, which isn't ideal if you wanted to withdraw more. However, private equity sits on the growth side of your barbell, offering high potential returns that are often uncorrelated to the crypto market. So to summarize, wealth isn't built and preserved by guessing or gambling. It's built by having a structure and discipline. So the takeaways I think are: invest in fundamentals, always educate yourself, don't hold low interest cash that's being eroded by inflation unless you need it in the short term, use your tax wrappers like ISAs, SIPPs and Roth IRAs, look for exposure to major trends like real world assets and AI through quality assets, not just hype, hold over the long term, so ideally 10 years plus if you can, and finally, rather than going all in on low cap altcoins and riskier investments like meme coins, balance this risk, perhaps using the barbell strategy we've looked at in this video. But as always, please do like this video and subscribe to the channel if you found this useful, as it honestly really does help. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.